everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we are very excited today to be here to talk about non-Hallmark Christmas movies from the last week or so over the Thanksgiving holiday. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I am film critic Rachel Wagner, and Michelle's here.
Hey, everyone.
And Terry's here.
Hi.
Yes. So I hope you all had a good, well, I guess, Michelle, you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, but I hope you had a good weekend nonetheless.
Yeah, it was just a normal Thursday for me.
You should fix that. Why not? Yeah. Do you have anything like that you would say is like a feasting holiday?
Probably St. Andrew's Day.
Okay.
But that is a haggis situation, Rachel.
Oh no.
So yeah, haggis is like the thing that you eat on St. Andrew's Day, so I'm not known to celebrate that myself. I'm a bad Scottish person. I hate haggis.
Yeah, you know, the haggis or well, I don't blame you. It doesn't sound good at all. No. But Terry, hopefully you had a good Thanksgiving.
I did.
Yeah. I had a nice one. It was super easy. I just went over to a friend's house. So my friend Marie Callender's made the pie, and that's all there's to it. So we hope that everybody listening had a wonderful weekend. And we're going to talk about some of these. We've got Netflix, we've got Lifetime, we've got a bunch of other stuff. But why don't we start off with the Lifetime movie? There's another movie, but we're actually recording this on Sunday because I'm traveling. And so we won't, and that one was not made available to us early. So it's the Make or Bake It Christmas. So we'll have our thoughts on that next week. But for this week, we just have one for Lifetime, and it's BB Winans' We Three Kings. Retired musician Lincoln, a record store owner and father to estranged sisters Lydia, Gracie, and Abigail, conspires with friend Janelle to reunite them for Christmas after their mother's passing. And this was directed by Robert Adjutui and writer W. Stewart, and she did Well Suited for Christmas. So she can be a really good writer. It stars BB Winans, Lisa Barry, Jamie Calica. So overall, what did you think, Terry, of this movie?
It's very drama heavy, but overall I kind of liked it. It's really a family drama, and it's more, I kind of felt it rushed in some places more than others in the romance department, but I really liked it. It was a strong cast, and I just liked the sisters coming together because it was believable that there would be like this tension and this moment of healing after, you lose a parent, and how tough it is. You went those first few years in the holidays after they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
So
what did you think of it, Michelle?
I didn't see this one.
Oh, you didn't see this one? Okay.
I didn't see this one. I literally don't know where my week went. I was like blinked and it was over, and I was like rapidly trying to catch up with things over the last 2 days. But yeah, I didn't manage the Lifetime ones this week.
Yeah. Well, I enjoyed it too. I thought it was a nice little movie about these three sisters getting back together and mending their relationships. And I liked BB Winans as sort of the patriarchal character, the father character with this, and maybe they were a little rushed, but I still thought that the chemistry and just the little romantic moments were nice, well done. I mean, we have so little diversity this year as far as on Christmas movies that it felt steeped in the culture of the people, and just felt like a real authentic, I think, family and movie. In my opinion, which I liked.
And the music was great.
Music was really good. Yeah, that was part of kind of making it feel authentic.
Yeah.
Was the music. I liked it. I thought it was good. I think that if you're in the mood for a little bit more of a drama, but as somebody who I have 3 sisters, and like it felt pretty authentic, and it didn't feel, even when they were fighting, it wasn't in a way that made me like dislike the characters like sometimes the fighting in movies is, you know. I mean, and maybe part of it was that like, for instance, that scene where they're like hashing it all out. You had BB and other people sort of commenting on like, should we go in there? Should we go in that room? You know, like kind of, so there was like a little bit of distance and sort of laughter about it. And that helped, I think, not make it feel unpleasant.
Right. And even though they were disagreeing, nobody threw hands, because had this been a family squabble in my house, hands would have been flying.
Yeah.
No, it was realistically done. Like, their issues where you could really relate to them, you know, even though that sister who was a doctor was a lot to handle.
Yeah. She was a lot of personality. It's true.
But, you know, she was, you know, she was strong.
Yeah.
But nothing wrong. I mean, you know.
Yeah, so I'd probably give this like 4. I enjoyed it. I'd watch it again.
Yeah, same.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Okay, so then we had a bluegrass Christmas, and we this was on Up TV, and we all 3 of us watched this. And this is Katie's horse sanctuary faces closure. To save it, she must convince her grandfather, bluegrass star Ben Pendleton, to perform at a Christmas benefit concert after years of seclusion. And it was kind of funny because there is also this whole like element of in BB with him not wanting to perform anymore, and like getting the gang back together and that kind of, but it's like gospel music. And here we have this here as well, that he's the bluegrass star that stopped singing after
because his wife died as
grief.
well.
Yeah. And I'm like, these are the same movie, but one is bluegrass and one is
this movie
about family, and you know.
The Bluegrass Christmas to me commits the crime of being both a save the blank and planning a party movie.
Yeah, it's both.
So
yeah.
You gotta pick a lane and don't do them both.
But it's directed by Marco Dufimia, writer Chris Dowling, and it stars Amanda Jordan and David Pinnard and Sean Johnson. And this also did feel like, okay, we got another surprise episode of Heartland.
Yeah.
It really did, because she's like basically Amy Fleming, I mean, with the horses and the, you know, working with like, and the owner of this horse just wants him ready. It doesn't even matter. He doesn't even care that she says no, he's not going to be ready, and he's just like a bully, you know, basically. He doesn't care about the health of his horse, which in Heartland world means you're like the worst person in the world. And it's his dad, and he's going to pull the money from his money from the sanctuary, and which, I mean, is just nonsensical. Like literally, if you care that much about this horse and she's telling you that, and you like trust her enough, not only to bring the horse to her, but to literally be the main sponsor of the sanctuary, like that you would want her to sort of rush this this rehabilitation of this horse. It makes no sense. But
so they had to move the plot, so
it makes no sense. But I didn't really care because I like all these people, and it was again another one of these ones that's just like, it was really pleasant, and the music I think throughout was really good.
Yes,
that they had, and I liked seeing the horses, and this is a completely predictable. It's completely, but it was enjoyable. I liked it, even though it has all those tropes and things that make no sense. And I don't know. What do you think, Michelle, about it?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I agree. It felt like just watching an episode of Heartland at some point.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like made for Heartland fans, which
Yeah.
could be intentional with it being an up movie. But I mean, I think overall it is like you say, pleasant. But it's like that thing like Terry says of just like using the worst tropes, like the most overused tropes. So it definitely felt a little bit tired in that sense. But I mean, I enjoyed the romance. I'm not familiar with either of these actors, but I thought the romance worked really well, and yeah, I thought it was a really sweet film.
Yeah, David Pinnard, he is the other guy a lot of times in these movies. Quite charming, and I was glad to see him get this lead role here.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, he's definitely very like charismatic and.
Yeah, I had never seen Samantha Jordan. She reminded me a lot of what's her name? Rebecca Dalton. That she looked and sounded a lot like Rebecca Dalton, but she was good. I mean, I think Sean Johnston is sort of your star of this, and your big name. I mean, Terry, you've never watched Heartland, right?
Nope. I know what it's about, but I've never seen it.
Okay. Well, he's like the grandpa of the family.
Yeah, I recognized that. I knew that he was on the show.
Yeah, it was so weird that she called him Granddaddy because he's like, like they usually call him like Gigi or Grandpa in Heartland.
Yeah,
it just felt so weird because it was like a kind of more grumpy version of Jack.
I mean, they did have him hold out pretty long. I was like, man, this guy is really stubborn.
20 years, like he's been holding out.
I mean, he's not going to do it to help save the sanctuary, or to even when his friends are all on board, he doesn't care about that. I mean, it takes him a long time before he agrees to pick up that guitar again.
His granddaughter's got to sing to him,
Yeah.
She should have done that earlier, and it would all worked out.
But I liked the songs.
Yeah,
I think
the music was good.
The music was nice. And so if you're just looking for something enjoyable, if you're a Heartland fan, I think this is worth a watch. I'd probably give it like a 3.25 or 3.5. What would you give it, Terry?
I'd give it a 3. But I do have a question though, because I'm unfamiliar with stables. So I'm not sure if you would build if you would put Christmas trees in a stable, in a working stable, along with like furniture and couches to make it look like a living room type. So I did question, like, I couldn't get over that. I was like, is this normal?
In Heartland, they have like an office,
Okay.
and they actually have also an apartment up above the stables. But
that makes sense. But like inside, like, I was like, oh, I don't know how much they decorated, but I was like, that's a full-blown Christmas tree up in there. And they didn't even have like an old used couch, so people could sit. They had like a fancy couch.
Yeah,
with, like,
that's true.
With a fancy throw over it. And then they had all the little like dressers in the back. And I was like, what's going on here? Is this a living room?
I don't think that in Heartland that they have they don't have any.
Yeah.
Like,
but
so
anyway,
there's an office, but that's it.
But that is my one lingering question about this movie. That stable setup.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, you saw one, Terry, that I didn't see called The Night Before Christmas in Wonderland. Tell us about that.
It's super adorable. It's an animated film. It's available on Hulu and Prime. So I don't know if it's exclusive to both or what, but it has Gerard Butler is the voice of Santa Claus. Amelia Clark is the voice of the Queen of Hearts. So it's essentially Santa is like a real goofball, and there's a lot of music. It's a musical. There's a lot of song numbers. They're all very cute. And he gets this letter, and it looks like it's been, lost. And it's from a princess in Wonderland, from what we know as Alice in Wonderland. And he's like, oh, I've got to deliver this present. And his reindeer are like his parents, going, Santa, we got to keep on schedule. We can't do this. It's very funny because Santa's so joyous and bumbling, but his reindeer's like got to rein him in check. And there's a lot going on in this movie, but they do travel to Wonderland and they come across the Queen of Hearts who wants to cut off their heads. And there's a lot of like Wonderland imagery that they show in this movie. And it's really cute because a lot of the dialogue is in rhyme. So it's got that cutesy feeling. But I found it
I gotta
adorable.
watch this. I love the animation. It's really
the animation
cute.
is really cute. It is adorable. And I think if you have a family and young kids that they might really like this. I don't know about how older kids might get into it, but if you love like animated movies and stuff like that, I think that this would be really cute. It's a really cute family movie. And it's just they have some funny moments that I was just cracking up. Like I didn't expect this movie to like do that and the way they animated it. And I do think it's delightful. It's it's longer
No,
than
it's
I
long.
thought it.
It's
It's
not a
long,
short.
Rachel. It's not. It is a long movie and I wasn't expecting it. When I saw the time, like it's over an hour. When I saw the length, I was like, "Whoa." But I think it moves at a pace and I found it adorable. It's delightful.
Huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just looking to see because it almost looks like the same style as Cartoon Saloon, like The Secret of the
Mhm.
Kells and Song of the Sea and all of that, but it looks like it's not. It's just sky animated by the
Kinda.
same people of The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the
Yeah, I'm
Horse.
just looking at it. It must be available for me as well because like Sky One is the main kind
Yeah,
of
because I
channel
looked
here.
up the
Yeah.
yeah the country of origin, and it says United Kingdom, and I do remember in the credits that it said Universal Pictures on it as well. One of the
Oh yeah, Universal Pictures.
yeah.
Huh. I'm glad you saw this. Movie made by Lupus Films. Lupus Films specializes in high quality family entertainment, both beautifully crafted adaptations of well known literary IP and entertaining original films. So, yeah, they are the people who did. Oh, okay. It's like the same people who did The Snowman and Ethel and Ernest and like that whole group.
Yeah, it looks like it's based on a book, and the animation is like directly from that, which is cool.
Huh.
So I was completely unaware of this, and it was a
I'm
new
glad you
discovery.
caught this
It was
because
Yeah.
delightful.
this looks really good.
Yeah,
I'll
it
have to
was
watch
it
this.
was delightful.
Yeah, I definitely have to watch this. All right. Well, what would you give it? 1 to 5.
Oh, I'd give it a 4.
Okay, good. Hallmarkies, it's time to spruce up your Christmas season with holiday romances and dreamy happily ever afters. So pick up some festive fiction for yourself and gift another to the book lover in your life. Christmas at Sugar Plum Manor will transport you to the Nutcracker-inspired Edwardian era with a childhood friends to lovers romance. A hometown Christmas reunion at Second Chance Romance in the Christmas Catch will appeal to fans of the sports romance trope. The Christmas Tree Farm will delight with a breath of crisp, piney air at the family tree farm and a battle of wills with an ex-boyfriend. Make a holiday return to Prince Edward Island with a bit of matchmaking and meddling with mistletoe. Cozy up during the chilly weather and grab these books for 30% off and free shipping at bakerbookhouse.com. That's bakerbookhouse.com. So let's talk about Our Little Secret. This is on Netflix. and this is two resentful exes must awkwardly spend Christmas together after learning their new partners are siblings. And this is director Stephen Herrick, writer Haley Demonicus, and stars Lindsay Lohan, Ian Harding, and Kristen Chenoweth. And Ian Harding is like the king of Christmas this year. He's on Holidays. He's on Our Little Secret. He was just in The Magic of Lemon Drops. The man's been busy in 2024. But what did you think overall of this one? What do you think, Terry?
I did not see it.
Oh, you didn't see this one?
No, I don't have the Netflix, so
I
didn't catch any of Netflix movies.
What did you think of this one, Michelle?
I enjoyed this one. There's not a lot of romance in it in terms of like there's just a lot of just shenanigans. I thought it was really funny. It's like the humor worked really well. I thought Kristen Chenoweth was hilarious. And I sort of loved the sort of reaction from like our main couple to Kristen Chenoweth, because they're sort of coming into this kind of like crazy family situation. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I thought the script was really good. Like I say, there's not a lot of romance, and it's that kind of thing of like they have different partners throughout the entirety of the movie. So it's like we don't see enough of them. See a little bit in the past in the beginning, so we don't really see them as a couple. So you don't really know what you're rooting for because we've never really seen them as a couple. So that was like a little bit of a struggle, but I think overall like the humor worked really well.
Yeah, I agree. I have the exact same take. Like I gave it 2.5, so it was right in the middle as far as my take. If you're watching it as a romance, then you'll be disappointed because there's just so little, and then most of the time they're spent with these other people, and when they're not with those other people, they're fighting. It just doesn't seem like they have really any spark or connection, or it's just not that satisfying as far as a romance. But I would say if you're watching it as a family comedy, then it's pretty satisfying. It's pretty funny. Yeah. I think Kristen Chenoweth puts a lot of this on her back and carries this. Like she gives a lot of the humor and makes that work. And compared to some other family comedies like this, I prefer this over something like Four Christmases or The Family Stone. Or something
it didn't
like
feel
that.
it didn't feel mean.
Yeah, it doesn't feel mean, and it was just more enjoyable, I think, than those ones. Like the humor lands better than either of those for me. And so I was right in the middle on it, but if you're looking for something that maybe isn't that romantic, there's more of a comedy, then it would be a decent one. I mean, it has a great cast with people like Tim Meadows being in this, and it's very funny. You feel really bad for him, but he is pretty funny in it. And so it's a good cast. I would give it a 3 on our rubric. I'd give it a 3 out of 5. What would you give it?
I'll go 3. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I saw one. I think you saw it, Michelle. You saw Dear Santa?
I did, yeah.
You saw it. Okay. Well, let's talk about. So Dear Santa was on Paramount Plus. It's directed by Bobby Fairley, writers Ricky Blitt, Peter Fairley, and Dan Ewan. Stars Jack Black, Robert Timothy Smith, Keegan-Michael Key. When a young boy mails his Christmas wish list to Santa with one crucial spelling error, a devilish Jack Black arrives to wreak havoc on the holidays. So, Michelle, what did you think about this one?
I'm sort of mixed on this one.
Yeah.
I mean, I sort of love the filmography of the filmmaker and writer, like that, but that type of humor is very like 90s. Like the type of movies they made back in those days, they don't necessarily work nowadays. So it felt like they couldn't really get away with that type of thing. So it felt very tame. It also was a little bit like it was trying to be a kids film and trying to sort of have this like adult aspect to it, but it didn't really work for me. It just sort of felt uneven in that sense. Like it felt
I
like a
think
lot of the subject matter just felt adult, and then you had a kid at the center of it, so it was just like it didn't work.
I think that this would have been better with an adult writing the letter, not because there was a couple of years ago, there was a horror movie called Letters to Satan Claus. And
Yes.
she's an adult who writes this letter intentionally writes this letter to Satan. And because she hates Christmas and whatever. And that one was actually like a pretty good horror comedy. It has like no budget, but like it was entertaining for what it was trying to be.
Classic, Rachel. It's a classic.
Yeah, it's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this, you have a child, and I just, maybe call me a prude, but I just had a hard time with a child selling his soul to Satan. And
Was it intentional, or did he just
no?
misspell?
So he has dyslexia, and he mixes up the letters from Santa and spells Satan instead.
Okay.
But like he ends up with 3 wishes from this devil, and at the end he intentionally, because he wants his parents to not get divorced so much, that he sells his soul to Satan to make this last wish. And he knows, and he even says, I sold my soul to the devil. Like, I don't know. It was just a little too much for me. And if it had been an adult selling his soul, like, it just would have been more palatable. I agree with you, Michelle, that I just couldn't quite go there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it felt like the movie didn't quite go there either. That was my issue with it. I felt like they just couldn't. They couldn't go there. They couldn't go there with the reality of that. I mean, I thought Jack Black was really funny in it. And I thought he was really well cast, but it felt like he was playing, like, you know, I was sort of glad that there was like a reveal later in the film, which I was glad of, because it didn't feel like he was playing Satan at any point.
No. And yeah, he's like a lovable guy who wants I mean, he does have some lines where he's like, I'm usually a fan of divorce, but in this case, things like that. But yeah, he was never trying to like tempt the boy into doing something bad or being bad. And there's like this whole long segment where he ends up at this Post Malone concert, and he ends up on the stage trying to impress this girl. And I mean, that whole thing felt very weird. I guess Paramount Plus has a relationship with Post Malone or something. I don't know. But I was like, what is happening? And like, if you look at something like the Screw Tape Letters, and if you read the Screw Tape Letters, but the idea is that it's a novice devil writing letters to his uncle Screw Tape, who is giving him, or his mentor Screw Tape, giving him advice on how to tempt humans. They're quite brilliant and very entertaining, but there's like this sense of sort of this, that they could have brought in more, this sense of this younger devil is very naive and getting all this advice on how to tempt, and he's like bad at tempting these humans. And then they're like, how could you do that? And there could have been sort of more, like, if they were going to go that route with this Jack Black devil and have him actually not be like not be that good of a devil, they could have kind of gotten more of that element in, like, he's actually really bad at tempting people, but they didn't really do that. And so he just, I don't know. And it was just, if it sounds like it might be for you, then maybe you'd like it more. But I don't think they should have made it a kid. So I would give this one 2 crowns.
What would you say? A teenager?
What's that?
What if it was a teenager?
Maybe
slightly older-ish.
Maybe, teenager. But I don't know. Like, I think I'm just too much of a prude for people selling their souls to Satan.
Okay.
I guess. I don't know. So maybe it's just not the premise for me. But yeah, that would be better than a little boy. I don't know. But what would you give it, Michelle?
I would go with 2.5.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's fair.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies.
And we have, I watched on Hulu, I watched a little movie called Nutcrackers. And this is a sweet little movie I recommend. It's by director David Gordon Green and writer Leland Douglas. It stars Ben Stiller. And it's in the most unlikely of places, 4 siblings find a loving shelter in an unexpected turn of circumstances. This endearing comedy drama draws inspiration from actual events and deftly crafts a gripping story that unites everyone. So basically, you have this kind of bad man of business, totally in love with business. He finds out that his brother's kids are going to end up in the foster system. He needs to, like, they're not even asking him to actually adopt the kids. He just needs, there's somebody has to be there in the like processing time while they're finding the foster families and stuff. Anyway, and so he comes up to help these kids, and he starts with there's 4 boys, and he starts with a really kind of bad attitude about it. And the more that he's with the kids, the more they wear him down. And he's charmed by them. And this is a very classic story. It's a very basic story, but I'm a sucker for this one. The person who comes to realize the parenting is that they have the ability to parent and they didn't think they did, and they have the ability to love kids and they didn't think they did. That is an arc that almost always works for me and that I find really endearing. And they did a good job with this, I think. And so I liked this one. I think it's a good little movie. The kids are all homeschooled and they're all like a little awkward and everything. And I definitely could see like some people thinking this is too syrupy and too, especially like because it doesn't really have any, it's kind of like taking a Hallmark movie and putting like an indie skin around it, and so I could see people that aren't used to watching these kind of movies not appreciating it as much. But I really did enjoy it. And so I'd recommend it to any of our listeners. I think they'd like it. The last one we have to talk about is on Netflix. It's called The Snow Sister. And this is from Norway. And it is a film about a young boy named Julian, whose Christmas Eve birthday turns sad with the death of his sister, sends his household into mourning. And it isn't until he meets Christmas-loving Hedwig that he begins to believe in Christmas again. So basically, he's this boy who's really sad because his sister has died, and the whole family's very sad. And he meets this little girl who becomes his best friend and is very like manic pixie dream girl, except for they're not like falling in love. But she's just sort of magical and special, and you start to learn that there's more to her than you realized, and that she has like also a darkness to her, and that she kind of represents. This movie's beautiful. It's beautifully made, beautifully shot. It is pretty dour though. It's pretty sad for most of the movie. So if you are kind of tired of the Hallmark type of content, which why would you be if you're listening to Hallmark's podcast? But if you are,
Imagine.
if you are, then this might be a good palate cleanser, because it is more like serious and melancholy and taking on these deeper themes. But I did like it, and thought it was moving and touching and well done and everything like that. So that is available on Netflix right now. So I think we covered everything. Did we cover everything you guys watched?
Yes.
Yeah.
Got everything. Okay, well, let us know what you think of all these different movies that we talked about in the comment section. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And Terry, where can people find you?
On Twitter at Flurry Heaven.
Great. And you can, and Michelle, where can people find you?
On Twitter at Michelle R. Benson.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really, really helps us a lot. If you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We really, really appreciate that. We also have our patron group and merch store, so check all of that out. And thanks so much, everybody, and Merry Christmas. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.